First things first, the Giants cut ties with offensive coordinator Jason Garrett yesterday. Is he being used as the scapegoat for Big Blue struggles? Nick just answered it. Hey, Aaron Rodgers says his toe injury is worse than you think. Should Packers fans be worried about their quarterback? And it is Wednesday. It is NFL Tier Day. Nick's got a freshly brewed list ready to be unveiled. Good Wednesday morning, everyone. Welcome to a Thanksgiving Eve edition of First Things First. Alongside Chris Broussard, Kevin Wilds, Nick Wright, I'm Jenna Wolfe. I have waited all season to ask you this, my friend. Are the Chiefs finally on back top of the tiers?
Well, we'll see if they're on top of the NFL tiers, but right now, they look like they're coming for Iman Shumpert's spot, top of the NFL's or the sports world dancing tiers. Watch out, Shump. Look at those guys.
There it is.
I mean, group choreography.
We'll get to all that dancing in just a bit. We got to kick things off this morning with all that basketball played at the Garden last night. Lakers taking on the Knicks. No LeBron in this one. He was serving his one-game suspension. And as it turns out, no Lakers either. Or so it seemed. They dug themselves a 26-point hole. I got choked up. Just that number was too big. 26-point hole in the first half. It was ugly. They did mount a nice second-half comeback, tie things up twice, but they couldn't do much more than that. Anthony Davis played with the flu. Melo couldn't find his shot. Russ couldn't do it all himself, not when Evan Fournier's putting up a team-high 26 for the Knicks. The New York Knicks topping the Lakers at the Garden last night. 106-100 was your final. Nick, I'll start with you. Was last night's loss to the Knicks without LeBron a big deal for the Lakers?
Yes, absolutely, unequivocally, it was a big deal. Because the Lakers, as presently constituted, are broken. And I tried to start sounding these alarm bells after the first game. This insistence on playing a lineup with no shooting cannot and will not work. The Brooklyn Nets are not the best run organization in the NBA, but they were able to figure something out the Lakers haven't yet. DeAndre Jordan, forget being a starter, he's no longer an NBA player. Sorry, DJ, you'll always have Lob City, we'll always have Paris, but it's over. Someone needs to give Frank Vogel the memo, but this isn't all on DJ. I just want to show you 3 first-quarter possessions. Because folks are like, why isn't AD going to the rim? Why isn't the Lakers' offense better? Well, how are you supposed to score in today's NBA under these circumstances? Just watch. I don't even care about the shot. Just look at the Bulls' defenders. Where are you supposed to go? You've got 5 guys. I keep saying Bulls, so my apologies. Look at the Knicks defenders. You've got 5 guys, all basically with a foot in the paint. Show me the next possession. Or the next possession, again, early first quarter. Where's AD supposed to go? AD, be more aggressive. Where? You have 5 guys with a foot in the paint, 1 guy who then goes out because THT goes up to the top of the key. Show me the next possession, which literally in this sequence is the next time the Lakers have the ball. Look at this. What are we even talking about? It is the opposite of what the Warriors experience, Broussard, where you have a true gravity pulling guys out. The Lakers offense right now has the mass of a black hole. It sucks everything to the inside. And so there's nothing for you there. And so you can't play Russ and DeAndre and Anthony Davis at the same time. You got 3 guys out there who none of them get any respect from 3. It can't happen. Lakers keep doing it, keep digging themselves giant deficits, and then trying to claw out of it. It's ridiculous.
Well, look, Nick, I think to your point, and I've said from the get-go, and we heard in the preseason, Anthony Davis is going to play center, and we all thought that was a great idea. Yeah, he should be playing center. There's no reason he can't play center in today's NBA. All right, and if AD just doesn't want to bang, who's banging? Very few people are banging today. So they should go small. We know they tried it earlier, and now they've gone back to playing DJ and playing Dwight a lot. And I think, Nick, it's because they understand that they have problems guarding the perimeter, right? They have problems guarding smaller and faster teams. And that's why they ranked 20th in the league in defensive efficiency. That's why they allowed the Knicks to shoot 44% from 3 last night. Emmanuel quickly hits 4 3-pointers in the fourth quarter to lead them to victory. Yes, Emmanuel quickly. All right. And I think they're saying, look, we're going to counter that by playing big. When they won the championship in the bubble, playing big at times, I know AD was at center a lot, but their size also helped them. But that's faulty thinking, and I'm with you on that. They need to just go with AD primarily at center and put shooting and get spacing on the floor, especially when you have a Russell Westbrook. Now, I'm not panicking over any Lakers game that lost that doesn't involve LeBron or AD. All right, because the fact is, without one of those guys, they have no chance to win the championship. So we all understand that. But to your point, the defense is the big problem. They've been third in the league in defensive efficiency the last 2 years. That's how they've been able to contend and win it a couple years ago. And if they don't get back to playing defense, whether LeBron's there or not, that your defensive consistency, your defensive effort, your defensive strategy should not fall apart if LeBron isn't there. And this is a problem with an aging team, a slower team, and that is where opponents are getting them. Secondly, Nick, of course, losing these games without LeBron is going to affect their seeding if he misses a lot of games. I know he'll be back, but he may get injured down the line. Means a tougher road in the first round of the playoffs and a tougher road to get to the championship. So it's concerning, but I'm not going to go overboard with it, Wilds.
Okay, so I had a similar reaction. When I was watching the game, the lead ballooned up to 25. I was like, you know what? With LeBron in this game, once they came back, I think they would have won the game. I think we had possessions for the Lakers that were just a mess. Like, what's happening right here? The intensity wasn't there. I expect LeBron to bring that back. But here's the question for you, Broussard. How worried should we be about LeBron missing games? And I know the suspension was an aberration, but the Lakers have played 19 games. LeBron has played in 7.5 of them. He's going to be 37 next month. So the idea that Russ can carry the team and LeBron can kind of put it into, take a step back. Russ had a triple-double. He also had a bunch of turnovers and a bunch of head-scratching plays. It's kind of like the classic Russ. He had a monster third quarter and a quieter fourth quarter when quickly started to pull away. So my concern for a LeBron-less Lakers team is far higher than I think yours, because in the playoffs, I don't think we're going to see LeBron every single game. And certainly if we do, not LeBron, peak LeBron at every single game. So how worried are you about that? It hit my worry meter.
Well, if you're a prophet, then the Lakers are done. LeBron's got to play every playoff game. Yeah. I mean, if they're up 3-0 or 3-1, something like that, and he has to sit out for a nagging injury, that's one thing. But LeBron needs to play every playoff game of consequence, or they're not getting out of the West. There's no doubt about it. So that would concern me. But I will give you, I do agree, Wiles, that his age and his injuries are a concern. I do believe, I hope I'm wrong, but I think LeBron will have another injury going forward. Now, I'm not saying a serious injury, but I think he'll have something that keeps him out for a week or so, right? Yeah, and it's been the pattern since he's been in L.A.
And by the way,
that's one of the reasons let me say this quickly,
Russ. Nick. Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Go ahead. Well, I was just going to say, people might look at 37 and say he's not that old, being 37. But you got to look at, he came into the league when he was, 17, 18 years old. And he's got 3 seasons plus of playoff games on his resume. Of course. Not to mention all the 19 regular season years. So the mileage on LeBron's body is high.
Yeah. Age to me age matters, but what matters more is minutes on the court. And he's going to finish his career with more minutes than anybody ever. He's already third most. Quickly on LeBron. He's not going to miss a playoff game. Guy's never missed a playoff game. If he misses a playoff game, then the LeBron era is over. And I don't think we are quite there yet. That's first point. Second point is, one of the reasons they traded for Russ instead of Buddy was because they anticipated LeBron was going to miss some regular season games. Russ was supposed to help carry them with AD. Thus far, that hasn't happened. And the last point to circle back, because I'm going to hammer this home. Folks, during the holiday weekend, if you're looking for something to watch with the family, I'd recommend the great film Moneyball. Better book, good film. There's a moment in there where Brad Pitt, who's the GM of the team, is so frustrated that Art Howe, played by the late, great Philip Seymour Hoffman, won't stop playing. I think it's a first baseman he doesn't like. So you know what Brad Pitt does? Walks in Art Howe's office and says, you can't play him today. He's like, I'm playing him today. Says, no, you literally can't. He's not on the team anymore. Rob Pelinka, you are Brad Pitt. Good for you, buddy. And in this situation, Frank Vogel's Art Howe. You need to walk in his office and say, can't start DeAndre Jordan. Well, sorry, listen, it's my lineup. No, literally, you can't start him because he's not on the team. He's literally not on the roster anymore. Yeah, at some point, someone from the top needs to do something the staff won't do, Jenna.
By the way, this will bother me. After the game, if you read some of the post-game quotes, Russ said, well, we just didn't play hard enough. Why? Why are you not playing hard enough when LeBron's not there and you're at the Garden on a national stage? I think that's what got me. We have so much more coming up to discuss on this game. We got to take a turn, talk some football now. Aaron Rodgers back in the news. Fox Bet Sportsbook has the reigning MVP third in odds to win it again this season. Can he really go on an MVP run while dealing with that painful pinky toe injury? We'll discuss that next. Coming up at 8:02, Nick, who's got an issue with the baby toe, set to unveil his new NFL tiers entering Week 12. Lots of moving parts as we enter the stretch run of the NFL season. Tiers, toes, so much going on. We're back after this.
Who's eating corn on Thanksgiving?
We're drawing a blank because we don't need stats when we play. Wednesday morning, here we go, talking Aaron Rodgers. The three-time MVP is dealing with a bone issue in his pinky toe. Now, I know saying pinky toe doesn't make it sound so bad, but Rodgers will argue it's quite the opposite. He said, I believe that I mentioned that it was more painful than turf toe, and I had turf toe 2 years ago. I have a toe injury that's not going away, and I'm going to be dealing with it at least the next few weeks. One option that's not on the table is sitting out. I'm going to push through this. I love mentioning the options that are not really options. Nick, Rodgers' comments on his toe injury are blank.
Oh, it's reminiscent of the great Ronnie Lott. Remember, Ronnie Lott was dealing with an injury on the pinky toe equivalent on your hand, pinky finger. Know what he did? Chop that sun gun off. Don't need it. Need to play. Listen, if we were offered, and maybe one day this will happen, optional surgery all in one, guess what, doctors? Appendix, tonsils, pinky toes, take them all at once. Don't need them. Only cause me pain. Tonsils get infected. Appendix gets infected. What's your pinky toe? Wisdom tooth? I kept mine. I like them. Help for chewing Thanksgiving time. But doesn't matter. Pinky toes. What's a good thing that ever happened with pinky toes? I did keep them. Pinky toes. Hey, anybody ever had a good pinky toe story? No. It's I banged it on the coffee table and I think I broke it. It's terrible. Also, on Rodgers. I do appreciate Aaron Rodgers informing us of his latest ailment, but it should be noted, Patrick Mahomes had a much worse foot injury during the postseason. Did we ever hear about it? No. Did he ever complain about it? No. He had surgery 3 days after the Super Bowl, was still in a walking boot 2 months later when his baby pictures were taken with his new adorable child. But Patrick Mahomes, because he's sticking with the NFL quota, I'm not going to talk or complain about my injuries, gets it. Meanwhile, I've learned more about Aaron Rodgers' toes than I ever did. Sorry, I pulled back a joke there. There was a great Rex Ryan joke there. I decided not to make it. Sorry, America. I'll try to have more courage an hour from now. Yeah. Point is this. Aaron Rodgers. It's either an issue or it isn't. But you can't do this whole, you don't understand how brutally awful it is. But of course, I'm going to fight through it. Not into it. Chop it off or zip it. That's my take, Broussard.
Brutal.
All right, Nick. Well, I say this is about consequences and repercussions. All right. This is all the hoopla, the hubbub about this toe injury is all a result of Aaron Rodgers lying, being deceitful about his vaccination status. All right, once you tell that lie, now everything else is up for question. All right, and Nick, I gotta counter you. You shot down the importance of the pinky toe, but the aforementioned Dusty he's schooled me, educated me on the importance of the pinky toe. He said it is a part of the triangle of the heel, the big toe, and the pinky toe. And it is essential for balance and stability. All right, balance and stability. So the pinky toe apparently is a legitimate injury. But here's the problem.
Dusty.
Rather than being viewed as a guy who is toughing it out, fighting through it, he mentioned surgery could be a possible option. Fighting through it. No, I'm putting off surgery until the offseason because I want to deliver Green Bay a championship. Instead of being viewed like that, he's viewed as a guy who is fudging the truth, who is, overstating the severity of the injury, who is trying to get our minds off of his lie a few weeks ago about the vaccine. And so, America, learn this lesson. If you tell a lie, there are always consequences and repercussions. It will come back to haunt you in some way, shape, or form. That's my take.
And just real quick, Wilds, with respect to Dr. Dusty, our resident statistician who's telling us about the triangle of balance, pinky toe is barely ahead of earlobe when it comes to necessary body parts. You know how I know that? Living. It's never in my life have I been like, oh my God, what if not for the pinky toe there? I don't buy it. I'm going to need to talk to Dr. Scholes before I buy this whole idea that the pinky toe is some critical component.
Nick. He said it with conviction.
This segment has gone off the rails. Okay. America, I know you look to your old buddy Kevin Wildes for cogent football analysis while these guys are weekend podiatrists. So here's why I think it's interesting, Jenna. Last year, playoff game, Bucs-Packers. What was the signature play in that game? Oh, could Aaron Rodgers have run that in?
For Brady?
No, not that one. That was not fraudulent. That was Could he have run this in and put the Packers in a good spot to win this game? He didn't. So as much as we want to say, it's your little pinky toe, and Broussard is throwing up the rock of the foot, I actually think if this comes up and is another situation in the playoffs, and Aaron Rodgers has to make a split decision, he's going to think like, ooh, my toe is hurting a little bit. It's not even a decision. It's just kind of you're not making it. So I do think this is a sneaky big deal for when we actually are down on the field playing, because it hurt them last year.
Maybe if they called it something tougher than pinky toe, we would take it more serious. Because pinky toe.
Little toe. Baby toe.
That was a good point.
Pinky toe.
Yeah, the little toe, the big
toe.
Yeah, the medical term is pinky toe. Back talking these guys, these dancing guys, Knicks Chiefs. They seem to have their swagger back the last couple of weeks. Well, that pushed them back to the top of Knicks NFL tiers. Breaking out the tears when we come back. The baby toe.
Oh, I wonder who's number one.
That was awesome. Here we go, guys. It is tier time. Storylines aplenty out of a busy Week 11 in the NFL. Okay, Chiefs seem to have their swagger back. Cowboys do not. Bills can't win. Patriots can't lose. The tier possibilities are endless. So, Nick, take us through your NFL tiers entering Week 12.
Well, this might be the committee's best work, but before we get to the tiers, quick comment on Wildes Weird and Wonderful. I'm not calling Kevin Wildes old, but he said not that long ago about something that literally happened more than 25 years ago. Actually, quite long ago that the East Bay Funk won the dunk contest. Wildes, you're just an old man. All right, let's talk about the teams that don't matter. Sorry, my apologies to these teams, but you're not going to be in the playoff picture. You don't even get names. Most notable part of this part of the pyramid of the tiers, the Raiders fall from grace. They're a disaster. And look at the Dolphins. Third longest winning streak in the NFL. And if you squint hard enough, you could see a path to them getting to 7-7. But still, none of those are playoff teams. All right, let's go to barely alive. These teams are still alive, but barely. Panthers was a brutal loss. Eagles playing better, but they dug themselves such a big hole. Hey, maybe Jameis was the MVP? 3 losses in a row for the Saints post Jameis. Okay, no problem, Broussard. I got your back, buddy. All right, give me the next level of the tiers, please, if you would. This is the AFC logjam. 1, maybe 2 of these teams will make the playoffs. That's at most. They have all 6 wins except for the Steelers, who have 5.5 wins. But right now, you got 3 AFC North teams that are going to be beating each other up. We just saw Chargers, Steelers. You're going to see at least one of these teams in the playoffs, but not for a very long time. All right, next group, please. Finally, frisky. Teams that had buzz before the season and are finally showing it. The Colts coming off a dominating win over the Bills. And the Colts, you're like, wait, are they 2 overtime losses away from an 8-game winning streak? They are. That Titans overtime loss has to still keep Frank Reich up at night. If not for that, they wouldn't be down in the tiebreaker to maybe the single biggest game as far as standings in the whole season. Niners and Vikings play each other this week. Vikings obviously coming off a great win against Green Bay. The Niners a couple weeks ago had a great win against the Rams. It's a huge game, Vikings and Niners. All right, give me the next group, please. Bronze medalists. You might say, what does this mean, bronze medalists? Well, this is one of these teams is going to get the pleasure and the honor of losing to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, which after the Chiefs win the Super Bowl will, of course, make them the league's bronze medalists. Now, the Titans, they lost to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game 2 years ago. The Bills lost to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game last year. The Patriots had lost to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game 3 years ago until Brady pressed the D Ford offsides flag button to save his season. So one would think the Ravens, their next man up, we'll see one of these teams will get that honor. All right, give me the next group. A+ A game. Cowboys, Rams, Bucks. All of these teams have lost 2 of their last 3. But all of these teams we have seen, when they're at their best, look utterly dominant. Oddly enough, the team of these 3 that at its best has looked the least dominant, if you would, is Tampa Bay. But because they're the defending champs and they seem to be getting healthier, we're going to include them on this list. And the defense looked much better the last time we saw them out. All right, number 1 contenders. 2 most consistent teams in the league all year. They have shown they can win with injuries. Remember when the Packers didn't have their receivers? Remember when the Cardinals, remember, just happened this week, didn't have Kyler, doesn't matter. They won a game against Seattle with Colt McCoy. They're the number 1 contenders. So who does that leave? Oh, you know what the committee says to the curse of the tears? I spit in the face of the curse of the tears. Oh, Nick, it's so outrageous. You know what's outrageous? I'll tell you what's outrageous. Hey, and all you muttering in the background, let me explain it to America before the peanut gallery pipes in. You know what's outrageous? And I don't like to S-talk the committee, but I made a passionate case 2 weeks ago that the Chiefs should have reclaimed their spot as the favorites after the throw heard around the world, Mahomes 3rd and 10 to beat the Packers. I was smacked down by other committee members. They said, Nick, we're going to lose all credibility as the committee, put a 5-4 team at the top of the tiers. I said, okay, instead, you're going to put teams at the top of the tiers that are going to lose, unlike the Chiefs, who might not lose again until 2023. We shall see. So the answer is the Chiefs are the favorites. You know it. I know it. Everyone knows it. Broussard, we're back. Oh, yeah, we're back like we never left, my friend.
We're back.
There it is.
Sorry.
The best edition, the best rendition of the tiers yet. What do you say, Chris Broussard?
All right, Nick, look, I got to give you credit. This is some of your best work. First of all, I love you giving love to Jameis. All right? It took you 11 weeks to realize how well he was playing, but I like that. All right? Secondly, for the most part, man, the tiers are legit. I like the titles. The groupings fit, like, Dallas, Tampa Bay, the Rams. I like it. The groupings are solid. But I told you about this on Monday. Your emotions have gotten in the way, my friend. You are too overzealous about the Chiefs. I'm excited, too, that they finally righted things, that they're winning games, and that they look like they're on the uptick. I'm excited. But you've gone too far. And see, here's the thing. And you keep talking about the praise you gave to that third down pass is the reason they turned things around. Nick, you like soft love, okay? And that's your emotion, all right? Oh. And you like to pat the Chiefs on the back, smack them on the butt, give them a bunch of attaboys. But really what turned them around was tough love. Tough love from me. All right? The bug list, Pat Mahomes, every week, you're on it. All right? I'm criticizing the Chiefs every week in the tiers, and they wake up finally. They wake up and get their swagger back. All right? But this little soft love, attaboy stuff is not going to work. And the fact is, Nick, they do not yet deserve to be number one. I'm sorry. They're legit. They might be the best. They look like the best team in the AFC. Nobody else wants it. But you can't put them atop the league yet because the Arizona Cardinals deserve that respect. The Arizona Cardinals, Nick, the resume is better. It just simply is. All right, they got the best record in the league. They got the best wins in the league. They blew out Tennessee. They blew out the Rams. They blew out the Browns. They've beaten San Francisco twice, once by double digits. They're 2-1 without their superstar quarterback and superstar wide receiver, who will be back maybe this week. 2-1 with Colt McCoy. They got a top 5 defense and a top 5 offense. You cannot keep disrespecting them. And finally, Wiles, before you go, let me say this. You like to pump out your chest. Oh, I'm so brave. I spit in the face of the curse of the tears. You ain't fooling nobody. Maybe America doesn't know. Let me hip America to this. Here's why Nick had the courage to put Kansas City, as wrong as it is, atop the tiers. Because the Chiefs have a bye week. The Chiefs don't play this weekend, so they can't lose. They can't fall victim to the curse. He knew what he was doing. And I cried foul, Nick. I cried foul.
Okay, well, that was just
Broussard,
I'm done. I'm done. I'm done.
I appreciate the energy and emotion.
Great.
However, you, my friend, have also been tricked by the Kansas City Chiefs. And I know you have a soft spot in your heart because you have them going to the Super Bowl. But when you say things like, they look like the best team in the AFC East, nobody else wants it, what proof is there that that is true? I'm going to say zero. I'm going to say zero proof. They've won games. They've won a few consecutive games. Don't get me wrong. But this is very apropos for where we are in the season right now. I'm talking about the calendar season. Because a lot of people, it's Thanksgiving tomorrow, a lot of people going back to their hometown. And they bring in loved ones, significant others, boyfriends, girlfriends. So, you got to come back to this wonderful spot in my hometown. I have so many memories here. They've got the best food. Oh, you'll love it. And you end up taking them to a Subway restaurant. And say, this is your memory? Like, yes, I have great memories here. Isn't it great? I have so many great memories. Yes. But what it is and what your memories are two different things. So here are my things about the Chiefs. If the Chiefs are back, the Chiefs have a plus 31-point differential. In the AFC, that is less than the Bills, Patriots, Bengals, Titans, and Colts. The Chiefs have an explosive offense. Patrick Mahomes is back. They have scored over 20 points once in the last 5 weeks. But they're still dangerous. No, they're not. Once teams go into half, the Chiefs come out and do nothing. Nothing. Against the Cowboys, they had 10 possessions. They put up 3 points. The Packers, they put up 0 points against Jordan Love. Giants, they put up 6 points. So all this talk that the Chiefs are back, they got their swagger back, it's not. Everyone's living off the Chiefs' memories and not what we're actually seeing on the field. I like the Chiefs, but it's all based on memories of last year. All of it.
Okay, the number one offense in football through the first 5 weeks of the year and now the best defense in the league the last few weeks of the year. But that's neither here nor there. I've got a question for Wilds and then one final comment. So Wilds once again did this dance without actually asking anyone to dance. So I'm going to do again what I did at the end of yesterday's show because you have had 22 hours and 30 minutes to prepare. So if the Chiefs aren't the AFC favorites, who is?
Oh, that's behind a paywall. I'm not going to give you that. That's behind my paywall. You got to go on to Kevin.
He won't do it because he knows
Wild man.
He won't do it.
That's behind the paywall.
By the way,
I'm not giving
Jenna,
that for free.
I did not even include the fact that obviously the Chiefs deserve to be at the top of forget the AFC, the entire NFL tiers, because they have done something. We're not even to Thanksgiving, and they have already clinched a division. And you might say, Nick, what do you mean? They're a game up on the Chargers. No, they've clinched the NFC East, my friends. 4-0 against the NFC East. Undefeated. They're going to win 2 divisions this year. How about that? Win the NFC East and the AFC West. Any team ever done that? Nope. Look it up, America. So there it is. There's Wild's making these janky arguments. They don't score in the second half because they don't need to. They don't need to. That whole time of not scoring in the second half, how many times they lost? 0. Wilds likes quarterback wins, but evidently doesn't like team wins, which is the actual stat. So I'll take your Chiefs commentary once you have a team you actually think's better than them, Jenna. Or Wilds too, Jenna.
I like the little road that Wilds took us. I have, no, that's okay. I have a little Starbucks. I take folks home too when I go back. We have wonderful memories. Let's set some tiers aside for now. Nick's got to hand out some NBA medals. I'll let you compose yourself, Nick, while I give you some options. How about Mavs Clippers? Check out Paul George. Final seconds of regulation. Hit in the corner 3. Send this game to overtime. Clutch shot from PG, but Mavs went on to win, so no medals for any Clippers. All right, Nick, which 3 guys were podium-worthy performers last night?
Yeah, unfortunately for the Clippers, that three-pointer was 2 more points than they scored the entirety of overtime as they almost stole a win and then just fell apart in overtime. Bronze medal, CJ. Nice win over the all-of-a-sudden very unhealthy Denver Nuggets. Don't worry, Denver, you have the best player in basketball, league MVP. I'm sure you'll be fine. CJ, 32 on 13 of 19 in a 19-point win over the defending MVP in the Nuggets. He gets a bronze. Silver medal, Russ in a loss. Russ was truly awful early and truly sensational late. 25, 5, and 5 with just 1 turnover in the second half to overcome a bad first half. Finishes with 31, 13, and 10. Of course, not enough for the LeBron-less Lakers. And then an important gold medal. Kristaps on the podium again, this time in a game Luka played in. How about that? Could Kristaps and Luka's simmering feud be calming down? Probably not. But for a moment, we could dream. Kristaps, 30-7 in a nice OT win for the Mavs over the Clippers. Jenna, there is your podium from last night in the NBA.
That was very good. If Russ had just done about that much more, maybe the Lakers come away with a win last night over the Knicks. All right, back talking Big Blue. Speaking of New York teams, Giants cutting ties with OC Jason Garrett yesterday. Did they use him as the scapegoat for their struggles? Is all solved now in New York? We'll ask these guys next. First things first. I got all New York with the all. First things first. So the New York Giants, coming off a terrible Monday night loss to the Bucks, mired in another terrible season, are starting to point fingers. Yesterday, they fired offensive coordinator Jason Garrett after less than 2 years on the job. Former Cowboys head coach Jason Garrett. And pick your reason why. The biggest being the Giants' offense has been stuck in neutral for far too long. 12 times in the 26 games they failed to score more than 1 touchdown. The most of any team. Not great. Joe Judge said it'll be a collaborative in-house
collection
effort
of offenses,
to fill
Jenna.
Garrett's role. Look at that.
Something sticks out
said
to me
everything
there.
is
Last year, buddy.
One of these teams is not like the other. He said everything is on the table, said Joe Judge when it comes to filling in for Jason Garrett. So was this the move the Giants needed to make? We got Super Bowl champ Greg Jennings with us now to help break it down. Good morning, Greg. Let me start with you. Were the Giants right to fire Jason Garrett as OC, or is he being used as a scapegoat here?
This is tough, Jenna. I believe it's both. It's a combination of both. I believe he was definitely used as a scapegoat, but I think they had every right. Joe Judge had every right to make this move. He needed to see something different. This offense, if we were to close our eyes and not say that this was the New York Football Giants, and if I were to list off the number of players and the personnel on this offensive side of the ball, they have a ton of talent. a ton of skilled guys that can get it done, that have gotten it done in the past, regardless if with the Giants or somewhere else. Kenny Galladay, Saquon Barkley is a shell of himself. Daniel Jones, obviously, heading everyone at quarterback. He's been up and down. Sterling Shepard. The list can go on and on and on. The point is they have talent. And when you have talent, you have to make a decision when it comes to what we're doing schematically. Is it working? And if it's not, we switch it. If that doesn't work, then something has to give. It's either that you're not getting through to the players as a coach, they're not on board with what you're doing as far as your scheme, and they're not going to transition and transfer that onto the football field. What they will do is transfer the lack of interest in what the scheme provides each individual player collectively as a whole. That's what's been going on with the New York Giants.
All right, Greg, I think Nick is rubbing off on you a little bit. You went a little too far. A ton of talent. They got some talent. A ton of talent, I think, is a little bit of an overstatement. But overall, I do agree with your point in that, getting rid of Garrett is a bit of scapegoating going on there, but it also was justified. And I think it boils down to this. Joe Judge sees the handwriting on the wall. Now, it may be written in pencil. I don't know if it's written in ink or pencil. I tend to think pencil. But the handwriting says, you could be done. And he is saying, he's channeling his inner Frank Sinatra. He's in New York, after all. He's going to do it my way. I'm going to do it my way. If I'm going down, then I'm going to go down controlling my own destiny. I'm not leaving it in the hands of Jason Garrett, who hasn't done a thing with our offense. And I don't mind Judge doing that, but I think that is exactly what's going on. He left it open for that he might get involved with the play calling, or his friend of, 17 years, Freddie Kitchens, might do the play calling. But I think this is about Judge saying, all right, look, the ship be sinking. All right, the ship be sinking, and I'm going to make sure that I am at the helm if indeed we sink. If I can't fix it, then so be it, Nick. But he's going to try to fix it with his own hands instead of leaving it to Jason Garrett.
The problem is he picked Jason Garrett. And the problem is the guy backing up Jason Garrett is Freddie Kitchens, the single worst head coach I've ever seen in, I think, across sports. I'll go down to youth field hockey. Never seen one more in over his head than Freddie Kitchens was his 1 year with the Browns. And keep in mind, they're like, oh, what about the year the Browns were good? Freddie Kitchens was, I think, the tight ends coach, and then got elevated because you had Hugh Jackson fired and my guy Todd Haley got fired. Freddie Kitchens, last man standing there. But you picked Jason Garrett. Wilds, not you, but your guy. You might as well have been you. You're a big Joe Judge fan. You've tried to wipe that stink off you, but I'm going to make sure to keep spraying it right on you. You're a big Joe Judge guy for years and years. You picked Jason Garrett, and the first time the Giants played on national television, I think it was a Monday Night Football game, after adding Jason Garrett, one of the broadcasters relayed a story to us where he said Jason Garrett has explained to Daniel Jones that every drive that ends in a kick is a success. That's your offensive coordinator's MO was, guys, if we punt the ball, it's still a success. Now, part of that is true because Daniel Jones has more turnovers than games played. So I understand Jason Garrett was somewhat coaching with an arm tied behind his back. So everyone is at fault here. Gettleman for picking Daniel Jones. Joe Judge for picking Jason Garrett, Daniel Jones for picking football. All of these people have to have some accountability here. Jason Garrett gets fired first, but they're all going to be gone soon. So I don't know if it's scapegoat or just, lowest man in the totem pole, because he's of GM, head coach, quarterback, and OC. He's the one with the least rank, if you will. But it's not going to fix anything. Yep. Like, Wiles, does anyone think the Giants are going to look better now? I don't. They're going to look the exact same.
I mean, maybe. They can't look the exact same. Like, Freddie Kitchens has to come in there and put his stamp on this next game against the Eagles and do something. You got to get Tony the ball. You got to get Galladay the ball. So, Greg, I want you to make me smarter about the dynamics between offensive coordinator and the head coach. Because the vast majority of head coaches in the league right now were usually either an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator. So they have some real foundation that they can lean on for at least a half of the game. And then so other people would pipe up and say, like, oh, no. There's not, Kevin, there's not half the game. There's 3 phases of the game, and that would be Joe Judge, who came from New England as the special teams coach. So the question I have for you is this, Greg. When Joe Judge is like, I don't make excuses, but I'm going to fire the offensive coordinator, if Joe Judge was so unhappy with the offense, short of diagramming plays, I don't know what Joe Judge's limitations are, but couldn't he say, hey, let's get the ball to Tony more. Let's really use Galladay more. It feels like he's almost divorcing himself and at the same time in a very Patton-esque way saying that he doesn't make excuses from Jason Garrett's tenure. So what is the dynamic between a head coach that doesn't have any offensive coordinating experience and their new offensive coordinator?
So for me, my experience, it's kind of a lockstep. Whether you're an offensive coordinator, head coach, or a defensive coordinator, head coach, you have an understanding of each side of the ball because you have to scheme against each side of the ball. Well, with Joe Judge's situation, it's a little different. He's been a special teams coach his entire tenure as a coach at whatever level. I think he coached linebackers back in college early in his career, but he has not coached on either side of the ball outside of special teams. That presents a problem because typically what you would see, Wilds, is you would see a head coach say, you know what, I'm going to get the play calls back. I'm just going to start calling my own plays. Kind of to Chris's point, I'm going to go down on my own accord. But I had a unique experience here in Minnesota. Norv Turner was my offensive coordinator. Everyone knew Norv Turner. He's done a tremendous job as an offense coordinator throughout his tenure as an offense coordinator and head coach. But Mike Zimmer was a different guy. And Mike Zimmer felt like Norv wasn't getting it done. I remember him calling us up in the huddle after practice, and he literally said, the defense is playing great. We need the offense to show up. We were getting ready to play the Cincinnati Bengals, and anyone knows Mike Zimmer. He came from the Bengals, long-term assistant coach there, and he felt some type of way. And he said, we need the offense to step up. If the offense doesn't step up, it's going to be a problem. Like, he said these words. And the reason why he was so comfortable and confident in his ability to say that is because he knew the expectation of the offense because of his side and his position as a defensive coordinator. So when you don't have that, you can speak to some things, but you don't really take on the reins because you're not going to start calling plays if you're Joe Judge. You're not going to start calling defensive plays if you're Joe Judge. Your skill set is special teams. That's what you bring to the table. And to Nick's point, lastly, he hired Jason Garrett. And so when you hire these guys, you basically give over the reins of saying, this is you. You run the offense, you get it done, and we'll win, we'll lose on your hand, on your play calls. Well, it's not working. And at the end of the day, again, to Nick's point, somebody has to be severed. And it's not going to be your quarterback because you're tied. It's not going to be your head coach right away because it's like, wait, before we just cut the head off, the neck,
do that.
Let's see if we can cut a pinky off.
That's right.
The pinky is offensive coordinator, and that's Jason Garrett, and he just hasn't gotten it done.
Well, look, something had to be done. Giants have the fewest touchdowns of any team dating back to the start of last season. Their offense had completely stalled. We'll see if firing Jason Garrett was the answer. All right, we're going to keep it in New York. Switch sports, talk some basketball now. Head to the Garden. What did we learn about the Lakers in their loss last night without LeBron? We'll toss that around next. First things first. Talking some LeBron James. We spoke yesterday about the one-game suspension handed down for his role in Sunday's scuffle with Isaiah Stewart. Broussard, you had an interesting point on the topic. Let's listen to this.
Players throughout the league undoubtedly respect LeBron James. First, for his greatness on the court, and also for all the things he's done off the court. But I don't know that there's been fear. Now, you might want to talk about Toronto and some of those teams in the Eastern Conference years ago, but I was talking to a player, this was about a year ago, a former player who played against LeBron, though. He played several years against LeBron. And he said the difference in going against LeBron, he was a perimeter guy, going against LeBron and going against Kobe was the difference in fighting Floyd Mayweather or Mike Tyson. He's like, you know they're both great, and you're going to lose because they're both so great. But if you fight Floyd Mayweather, he going to beat you, but it's not really going to hurt.
All right, Nick, what does this say about LeBron?
Oh, well, it says more about the players talking to Broussard because they're liars. Because here's the thing, you can say you're not afraid of a grizzly bear. But if you see one walking down the path and you're running the other direction, then you're afraid. And what we have seen for the league as a whole over the last, I don't know, let's use a big sample size, dozen years, is guys run away from LeBron. They can't play with him. They run as far as they can. We can go back as far as we want. Dwight Howard, there is a very interesting thing has happened, which is guys are going all west and then all east. And there's an interesting moment in the middle of it. So Dwight, who actually beat LeBron in a series, first chance, go, get me out of the east. There was a big free agent moment. Remember LaMarcus Aldridge, go anywhere he wants, all stay out west. CP3, you can do whatever you want, all stay out west. Paul George, let me get out of Indiana and go out west. Kevin Durant stayed west. Everyone that could went west, even though the West was the tougher conference. And then, oddly, around 2019, something happened. Everyone started going east. Kevin Durant, all that success out west, let me go east. Jimmy Butler, I can go anywhere I want. Let me stay east. Kyrie Irving, I can go anywhere I want. Let me stay east. James Harden, I've been in the West with it. Let me force my way. Where do you want to go? Philly or Brooklyn? I don't care. Somewhere out east. So what was the moment? Oh, LeBron went east to west. So the league as a whole was like, well, if I want to make the finals, I can't be in LeBron's conference. So let me go to the other one. So don't tell me you're not scared. Show me you're not scared. Somebody, the only guy that was like, I want to go up against LeBron, I will follow him east, was Carmelo. And the only guy who followed him west was Kawhi and his silly New Balance commercials. That's it. Everyone else crisscrossed. Maybe it's just happenstance, Broussard, that everyone goes west for a decade and now everyone's going east. It's very odd how that coincides with LeBron's geographic location.
Yeah. It is happenstance, Nick, and I'll get to that in a moment. But let me say this. The player that gave me that quote, all right, that he compared LeBron to Floyd Mayweather, Kobe to Mike Tyson, he didn't mean it as a negative. And I don't think this says anything negative about LeBron. Let's be honest. Who's better, Floyd Mayweather or Mike Tyson? Floyd Mayweather. It was just styles. And I think when people say they don't fear LeBron, it's more the style of play, his personality. LeBron's style of play, we know he's a passer. He obviously scores. He may end up being the highest scoring player ever, but he's a passer too. And when you're a defender and there's a guy that's trying to score on you every single time, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, that is more fearful to guard them than a guy that, yeah, he'll score on you, but he also is going to pass it at times. And I've heard that from great defenders. And, Nick, you know this, and I'm shocked by it because LeBron's better than Kobe. But a lot of former players that faced them both say Kobe was better, or at least as good, at the very least, and they point to a killer instinct and I think that's just based on Kobe's personality. And LeBron, I believe, has a killer instinct. I've talked about this with LeBron, and we talked about how people said that they would say Kevin Garnett had more of a killer instinct than Tim Duncan. Probably not. But it's based on your personality. LeBron doesn't have an intimidating personality. He has a welcoming personality, whether it's his own teammates or players around the league. And I think those are some of the things that contribute to players not fearing him. Now, to your point, Nick, you brought up one of them. Kawhi did not run. Kawhi didn't only come to the West. He went to LeBron's building. and then put up billboards and commercials saying it's my town. Hadn't worked out for him. Give you that. Hadn't worked out. But I'm just saying, all right, Paul George was traded to the West and could have played with LeBron and didn't want to play with LeBron and then goes to the building, the same building he's in. Again, hadn't really worked out for him, but he didn't run from LeBron, so your premise is off. Damian Lillard wants nothing more than a championship to get his just due, but he will not leave the West in Portland to go to a team that could maybe win a championship with him in Philadelphia in the East. So it's not your whole premise.
It's not 100%.
Guys aren't running from LeBron.
The whole.
It sure is.
I mean, I feel like there's a majority. It's not 100%, but for a long time, no superstar picked to go east except for Melo. And now all the superstars are picking to go east. I wonder what changed. But as far as these guys not fearing LeBron, because he's not going to score on you, okay, what he is going to do is beat you.
Whoa.
Aside from Dirk, every relevant player or team or collection, LeBron is coming from. The champion Pistons, he ended it. The big three in Boston, he ended it. D. Rose's Bulls never got started because of him. Paul George's Celtics, DeRozan and Lowry's Raptors. How about the big four in Brooklyn? Remember that? Pierce, KG, Deron Williams, Joe Johnson, goodbye. Melo in New York, goodbye. Steph and Clay, beat them. The big three in San Antonio, beat them. I'm leaving one out. Oh, yeah. KD, Harden, Russ, beat them as well. And then his first year in the West in the playoffs. Harden and Russ, you're gone. Dame, you're gone. Jokic, you're gone. So this idea of maybe you're not. I'm not afraid of the grizzly bear. He declares as his arm is being gnawed off his body.
But Nick, I mean,
that's fine. Stay
LeBron
unafraid.
has lost 6 finals. I mean, you act like he's never lost.
I'm aware.
I mean, come on.
I'm aware.
Let's keep it real.
People do mention that.
Skip and Shannon, pick up the conversation. Undisputed starts right now. We'll see you tomorrow.